Young, educated, ambitious and broke. If you're between 18 and 34, you'll be lucky to find the job you want, pay off your loans or find an affordable house. It was all a very different thing for your parents, the baby boomers, with their limitless opportunities. Now it's the young shouldering the burden of Britain's debt. Research by the think tank Demos reveals that half of all young people have seen their own debts increase. All this week, we'll be looking at the plight of Britain's lost generation. With the first of our special reports, Cordelia Lynch.
They were filled with hope, sold the virtues of university.
Basically, I am an incredibly overqualified barista.
But progress has been slow.
It became soul-sucking.
The offspring of the baby boomers are just trying to keep afloat on a sea of debt.
It's almost like there's a whole new generation who are just going to be almost lost.
In Yorkshire, Donna Burrell and Julian Rickles both left school at 16. They managed to build a thriving business and buy a house and car by their early 20s.
When I look back at how I was and how our lives were when we were Brett's age, we were living in a golden generation.
Their 19-year-old son, Brett, is in the first year of his politics degree, but his parents are no longer convinced by the benefits of university.
I never had that fear that I wouldn't buy a house, that I wouldn't raise a family, that I couldn't run a car, that I wouldn't get a job. Because when I was your age, all that was taken for granted.
We didn't even think about it, did we? The financial... Didn't even have to think about it, did we?
No. When you were both small, we had the nice car, we had the nice house, we could take you away a couple of times a year. We went to Mallorca in the March and Lanzarote at the middle of August. And that was what we did every year.
The lucky generation were born between 1945 and 1965. An era of optimism. These young people eventually had it all. Homes, consumer goods and jobs with healthy pensions.
That was my first car. That cost me £150. All my friends my age, all of us learnt to drive when we were 17.
It was cheaper to actually drive than to get on the bus.
That was the first house that your dad and I ever bought. We bought that house for less than your university debt's going to be.
I couldn't dream of doing any of that kind of stuff now.
I can't quite grasp how somebody at 19 years old, with your whole life ahead of you, with a good education under your belt, is actually quite seriously saying, look, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to own a property, run a car, bring up a family, take them away.
Property, family, car, they're just put on a back burner. You know, it's about just getting a job.
There's a whole new generation of people at Brett's age who are just going to be almost lost. I mean, what's the next 20 years got for them?
But have this so-called lost generation just assumed too much?
Skinny decaf latte extra hot. Basically, I am an incredibly overqualified barista.
Some hazelnut syrup from there.
Of course.
23-year-old Alex Regan thought he'd walk into a graduate job after completing a degree in history at King's College.
I could certainly tell you a couple of things about the Belfast Agreement whilst I make you a cappuccino. Allegedly, the gents' loos are blocked.
They what?
They're blocked.
After 2 years on temporary contracts, he's working in Pret-a-Manger
Black Americano.
with over £20,000 in student debt.
Working in somewhere like a coffee shop, people look at me and they're shocked. They go, God, I wonder when you're going to get out of here. You're better than this. I'm certainly not better than this in any shape or form. Latte, lovely. I have to work for what I've got. I can't get mummy and daddy to find me a job in a law firm. There we are, sir, your skinny decaf latte extra hot. Okay, lovely. Cheers, have a nice day. I guess I was hopelessly optimistic, maybe a bit naive. Gorgeous froth, gorgeous froth. I thought that I was going to be able to just walk into a job, but unfortunately that hasn't happened.
because you can't really get a job without having had experience anywhere nowadays, can you?
Despite her brother's struggle, Alex's 18-year-old sister Laura chose to do the same degree at the same university, but the course is now 3 times more expensive, a hefty £9,000 a year.
I'm struggling now with the money, and it will be, what, £27,000 just for my student fees, let alone think about my maintenance loans as well.
It's going to be close to 40 grand.
Yeah. If I end up in a job like Alex after my degree, I know I will be not feeling great, let's be honest.
Like Alex, she may end up living back in her childhood bedroom. A new poll conducted by the think tank Demos shows 3 times as many young people have seen their debt increase over the past 5 years than pensioners. Whether it's in towns like here in Hitchin in Hertfordshire or big cities across the UK, the dynamic of the family home is changing. Last year, 3.3 million 20 to 34-year-olds were living with their parents, according to the Office for National Statistics. That's more than a quarter of that age group and the highest number since records began. Rob, Adam and Josh all went to university, but at 24 years old, 2 of them are back at square one.
For me, I've moved out, got that sense I can look after myself, but because of my financial situation, have to throw myself back on my parents.
Adam studied creative writing at Bath Spa University and hoped for a well-paid job. What's the situation like for you now?
I earn about £250 a week, so I earn just under £1,000 a month. Most of that goes on travel, as I do have to commute, and I actually end up with about £100 going into the bank.
Rob and Adam now run courses at their former college, trying to make students aware university is not the only option. Do you think actually fewer people should be encouraged to go to university in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, everyone says you should go to university, but you might find that actually trying to get experience instead and using those 3 years without getting into debt, by the time other people are getting their degrees, you've already established yourself and you're already on the way to a good career.
Adam is trying to generate extra money making small films, but it's hard to build an empire in what is already a crowded market. His parents are also adjusting to their new reality.
Well, obviously, on one side, it's lovely to have him back, because we've missed him while he's been gone. But obviously there are other things you're disappointed that things haven't worked out, and I do feel that him and all his friends have been cheated almost by sort of being told to go to university, that they get a really good job, which, I mean, we know that the jobs aren't there.
I feel sorry for the youngsters. You know, I think they've been let down, and I can't see any way out of it at the moment.
Do you talk about money? Do you know, for instance, how much Adam earns?
No, we don't talk about money at all.
Now I'm part-time temping. I'm earning around about £50 a day, 3 days a week.
It's very low, isn't it?
And how worried are you about the long-term future?
On a scale to 1 to 10, I would say 10 at the moment.
I'm just trying to paint the perfect picture, make a living off a dream.
24-year-old Joseph Musa spent years working for free.
You wanted to make money, at the same time you wanted to pursue your career because that's what you spent time in university developing, and it just sucked because there was nothing. It was one of those situations where it became very just soul-sucking.
After a degree in commercial music, he finally set up his own label with a government grant.
Rough Child Music Group was started out when we came out of uni and we were looking for jobs and opportunities, and we couldn't find any jobs and opportunities, and we would always just say, like, it's rough out here, and stuff like that.
You like chocolate, isn't it? Look.
But with a family to support, times are still rough.
We do try and manage it and just try and be sensible when it comes to things like having the cooker on or the heater and things like that.
The government's idea of just, we're doing well and everyone's in a good place, I would like them to define that, because if everything keeps getting expensive and there's no pay rises to match the inflation and people are not getting the kind of job that they should have in from a graduate perspective, then I don't see how we can have a positive future. I don't see how we can have more disposable income. I also that grips them into the mixtape straight away.
Straight from the beginning.
Joseph's team of 3 only make around £2,000 a month between them. Unlike the baby boomers, nothing has been served on a platter for this generation. And a degree with talent and ideas is no longer enough to ensure a stable future.
Cordelia Lynch reporting